Arctic land ice is melting and sea ice is decreasing. These changes may affect infrastructure, economics, amongst others, and these changes affect several areas inside and outside of the Arctic. I read an article published by the Study of Environmental Arctic Change in 2019 titled "The Expanding Footprint of Rapid Arctic Change" that spoke about the changes and effects of Arctic climate change. The speech I have prepared for today is to inform my audience on the effects of global warming in the Arctic resulting in rising sea levels. I have studied many research articles for my speech today, so I hope my audience enjoys and learns something from this. I have three main topics I'd like to share with y'all today. I'd like to talk to y'all about how global warming is causing rising sea levels from the mass melting of sea ice in the Arctic. Secondly, I'm going to talk about how these rising sea levels are affecting the Arctic. And finally, I'm going to talk about how these rising sea levels are affecting other areas outside of the Arctic. So with that, I'm going to begin my speech. I read an article published by Scientific Reports in 2017 titled "Sea Ice Breakup and Marine Melt of a Retreating Tidewater Outlet Glacier in Northeast Greenland." That's a very long title, I know, but the article talked about the melting of the sea ice and how it's happening. It tells us about the rising temperatures in the Arctic and how it's caused accelerated loss of ice, and a good portion of it is coming from the Greenland ice sheet. There are over 200 tidewater outlet glaciers, and their constant contact with these warm coastal waters creates a link between them and the ice. These masses of warm water also surround the outlets on both sides, such as the eastern and western coast of Greenland. Alongside that, these rising sea levels are affecting the Arctic the most, as this is where most of the ice is melting. In an article published in December 2019 titled "Aviation, Melting Sea Ice, and Polar Bears," and it talks about the effects it's causing to the Arctic. It tells us about how the melting of sea ice and greenhouse gases, a well-known cause of global warming, is affecting the area, and polar bears, a well-known resident in the Arctic. As this ice is melting rapidly, and studies have shown a good portion of it is coming from the emissions of greenhouse gases. If these emissions stay at the same current rate, it's possible that the Arctic will have no summer sea ice, as predictions shown by 2040. As well, if this trend continues, it's possible that by the year 2100, we can see either a partial collapse of the polar bear population or extinction. We also learned of the other impacts from greenhouse emissions, so some of which are coming from aviation. The current carbon footprint is causing the ice to melt several square meters yearly, and it's expected to rise. As a result of this revelation, airline traffic has been deemed the new coal by the European Federation of Transport and Environment, even though airline traffic only makes up for approximately 2% of our carbon footprint. However, as airline traffic increases, so does our carbon footprint. In 2019, the total numbers of passengers was 4.6 billion, and that number is expected to double within the next 20 years. Finally, in an article I spoke about earlier titled "The Expanding Footprint of Rapid Arctic Change," we learned about the effects coming from rising sea levels and sea ice melt and the potential severity of them. Coastal flooding, erosion, and severe weather are all impacts of climate change, and the effects have not slowed down. We take Alaska, for example, has experienced infrastructure damage due to the melting of permafrost, which is a type of ice that stays frozen for 2 years or more and covers 20 to 25% of Arctic land. Rising sea levels have also impacted the eastern coast of the United States, as we see play out due to these major hurricanes in the past several years, such as Hurricane Harvey in 2017, and most recently Hurricane Ian that just made landfall yesterday is almost a Category 5. So I think we can look at the information I gathered today and note that the Arctic is an ever-changing phenomenon, as well as it kind of has the domino effect affecting everywhere else. So I will leave it at that. Do you guys have any questions for me? Yes.
What are some